apparently she went on Fresh and Fit. I'm not really interested in looking at the whole stream. So I'd rather just pull up what her experience is and let her tell it from her perspective, especially considering that a lot of people, it seem like, again, don't really care for Candace Owens. And I understand it. Let me be clear. I do understand it. I understand it. I know why a lot of black people choose not to rock with Candace Owens. It's weird. It's weird to me. I don't agree with it, but it's the same reason why black people don't rock with a lot of different people. So, it's not foreign to me. I'm not confused about it. Anybody that goes against the norm and anybody that feels differently about what you're doing, it's going to be some pushback. And so that's just what comes at the game. I understand it, but let me try to figure out what she was talking about as far as what her experience was on Fresh and Fit. I do know that she went on Destiny, and I kind of reviewed a little bit of that, but I want to get her thoughts on what happened with Fresh and Fit.
All right, guys, happy Friday.
Let me see if I can fast forward this, because I know she be having timestamps. Oh, okay, wait a minute.
All right, guys, here is what happened. So I was invited for a long time, actually. I just could not make time for it, onto a podcast known as Fresh and Fit. It's conducted by two guys. Actually, there's more guys, but Fresh and Fit refers to the two main podcasters. Fresh, his real name, by the way, is Walter Weeks, and Fit is Myron Gaines. They wanted me to come on the podcast, and some people said, don't do it. It's a waste of your time. Essentially, they were the podcast that inspired the Whatever podcast, very similar format. They invite a bunch of girls on that work in the sex industry, and they speak to them. And a lot of people find this not to be a great thing to do, but actually I think it is a good thing to do, because what ends up being the result, I think, is that you have a lot of young women that are watching the podcast, and they can decide from themselves whether or not they think working in the sex industry in any capacity is a good idea. And this was, let me just be clear, a house filled with hoes. They even have like the waiting room, and because there's so many strippers that come on the show, they strip on a pole while they're waiting. I wasn't in the room, but their waiting area is very much designed for their activities. Is
that true? What up, Slimmy? I did not know that was a thing. I did not know that. So wait. That got to be new with Fresh and Fit as far as them having an area for them to be able to go on a stripping pole. Because as far as I knew before, now I haven't caught their show since they've been on just Rumble mainly and stuff like that. But as far as I knew before, they was actually like in an apartment / condo and all of that. And so I was surprised that they was able to get away with what they was doing as long as they was, as far as where they was in a old location. But apparently they got a new studio and all of that stuff, and they spent a bunch of money and built stuff and all of that. But I didn't know that they had like whole shows and hey, listen, man, young boys, get your money, take care of your business, have some fun. They upgraded. Yeah, I know. I seen they upgraded their studio, but I didn't know that they was out there with the stripper poles and stuff. That's wild, because honestly, I wouldn't even think to have that going on while Candace Owens is actually coming to be a guest on the show. I would probably cut it out. You know what I'm saying?
I will say. I went on the podcast first to just sit down with the guys and talk about my ideas and what I believe in politics. And then they have this part called After Hours, and they invite all of the girls to sit around, and they're able to talk to me, and he allows me, Myron basically says, goes around, asks each of them how old they are, what their career is, and basically if they have any questions for me, and I'm able to then ask them a bunch of questions. So this was unique. I thought to myself, this really is what I want to do in life. Like, I want to be a person that's sitting in a circle with a bunch of women who are hoes and give them advice. I do. This is actually perfect. That's why I ignored everybody telling me not to go on the show. And I went and I tried out my clinic. I really did. That's what I did. And the first thing that I found was this pattern as I was asking them questions and talking about their lives. Anytime they would say something, it was very much, I don't care about men or I don't care about dating, because one of the things that Myron does is asks them if they're in a relationship, and the overwhelming majority of them are not in a relationship, or if they are in one, it's a very new relationship, so we don't know if it's going to be successful, but we have an idea. And I was very struck by the fact that, well, not really struck, it makes sense, the majority of these girls, all of them actually, did not grow up with a father in the home. It's, of course, makes sense why they don't like men and why they have turned to these sorts of careers. But there was one girl that really stood out to me, and her name was Kayla, and she shared her story, and her story was very sad. Take a listen.
You mean like hookup culture?
Right.
Yeah, like hooking up with a lot of guys.
Like when Tinder first came out, I think I was like 16 years old, trying to find a boyfriend.
On Tinder?
Yeah, I grew up in a very small town in Michigan.
Whatever happened to high school?
Like I said, I grew up in a very small town.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And did you think like having sex with them would bring you a relationship sort of a thing?
I just thought that's like what you did, like
Yeah.
if you wanted to be in a relationship with somebody.
I don't think that's, when you're 16, your brain's not developed. And I think a lot of young women think
Right.
that when they're young. And so I totally get that, especially with culture telling you all the time that it's like, do this, and maybe he'll want you. When did you have how old were you when you had a child?
I had her when I was 20.
Okay, so quite young.
Yeah.
And was that a long-term relationship leading up to it, or?
So I met him when I was a stripper. So he
Jesus Christ.
met me at the strip club when I was like just getting off drugs, and so I was like looking for a way out. I was staying.
What small town in Michigan is she from? That's what I'm trying to understand. So wait a minute. Most strip clubs here in Michigan that I thought you had to be 18. I mean, I'm sorry, you had to be 21 in order to be stripping in a strip club. Yo. So if it's a strip club and a chick is under 18, unless she in there illegally, then that mean that they can't serve alcohol or something like that, right? Man, I don't know, man. Don't get me started. I mean, look at these chicks that's on here. Good God, Jesus Christ. Green hair with her stomach sticking out, with army fatigue, with the 2 red cups, and then you got the other chick that looked like a gothic chick with the modified Bulls jersey, tattoos all the way up to almost her face. Jesus Christ. And the one that looked the most reasonable is the one that's probably the most broken. Man, this is crazy. Look at this. Look at this, bro. Look at the women. Good gosh.
In like a drug house and everything.
Yeah. What drugs? What
She
drugs
do
were you
look like
addicted
Harley
to?
Quinn. You're right.
Okay.
So, and he was a pimp. I like found out after like he took me out to eat or whatever that he was a pimp. So, I stuck with him.
These chicks look tough. Tough. The streets. Listen, ladies, before we continue to review this, let me just tell you something. The streets don't love you. I know a lot of y'all want to get out the house early. Y'all want to go out there and have fun and shake your tail feather and get to it and all of that. The streets don't love you. It will eat you alive. It will eat you alive. I don't know how many times I got to tell y'all. You know what? The next after hours, if I do one tomorrow night, because if I don't do one tomorrow night, then I'm gonna do it Tuesday. Because I'm thinking about doing after hours. I usually go live on after hours 3 times a week. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then either Fridays or Saturdays. But I might do Friday and Saturday because I actually like, being a night owl is actually my thing. I prefer to be the night owl more than the morning guy. I had to train myself to be the morning guy in order to go and get that bag. Because, Anton don't miss out on no bags whatsoever. Everybody in the chat keep telling me to stream for Friday and Saturday. But I had to train myself to be a morning guy because I'm really a night guy. Like, I'm always a guy. I used to be the guy that worked really, really late up to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning up until the sun came up, and then I was sleep in the daytime and then party in the afternoon and then grind in the night. So it's a little different. But, man, these chicks is rough. The streets don't love you. I'm telling you. It's crazy, bro.
a couple weeks like staying in a hotel, and then like I got put on probation. So like he was still the only person like paying for my phone bill and stuff like that. So I just stuck with him, and then like later on he just told me like he loved me and he wanted me to be his girlfriend. So I was just like, okay. And this is when I was 19. So.
Yeah, so you were very young. Did you grow up with a dad in your house?
My dad died when I was 11.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Christ. She
This
about to
is
cry.
sad.
Thanks
by
for
the way.
sharing that. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, there's a very clear pipeline that happens, and I think
got
it's
her
actually really
nipples
great
out,
that you're
though.
sharing it because, you know, the worst thing is when people pretend this is like an amazing lifestyle and it's like I had every option available to me.
I don't condone like girls doing OnlyFans or anything. Like I do it, but like I just do
You
it
feel-
because it
because you have
allows
the support.
and it also allows me to be like a full-time. I am a single mom. No child support, no benefits,
Yeah.
nothing like that.
Bro, the biggest problem in society, aside from homelessness and the migrant crisis and the borders being open, is fatherless households. These women, now in her situation, it's a little different because her father passed away when she was 11. But man, let me tell you something, bro. The stark difference between a person that turns out what their life turns out eventually that didn't have a father in the household versus a person that did have their biological father in the household is so vast. I can't tell you how many people I talk to. I talk to two different types of people a lot of times. They usually fall into two categories when they get a coaching call. The first group of people is usually people that I'm trying to get up to the starting line. Like I'm trying to get their life together, get their budget together, their money messed up or whatever, so on and so forth. And when I start digging into their background to better understand them, usually those are people that did not have a father in the household. The second group of people is people that's trying to get to the next level, right? And so they're like, man, I feel like I'm stuck. I've been making this amount of money for a certain amount of time. Should I go on this career path or whatever? Should I marry her? Usually those are the type of people that had parents in their household or have a strong community that played a huge role in their life that influenced them to continue to push themselves to be successful. It's not 100% all of the time that this is exactly how it plays out, but in a general sense, I see this all the time. And so when I speak to it, I'm speaking to it based off of my real life experience. And I'm telling you, it happens all the time. It's a huge, and when I say huge, I mean a gulf of a difference between people that don't have a father in a household. And I don't know why these women continue to want to have children out of wedlock, because it's not going to be good for you. It's hard. It's incredibly hard to grow up and be successful or to overcome the circumstances from a self-inflicted wound of somebody that's choosing to either break their family up or raise their children outside of a two-parent household. Man, I know my daughter. My daughter literally texted me the other day. Let me tell you what she texted me, bro. She actually sent it in a group chat with me and her mom, me and Rita. She says, this was Monday. This was earlier this week. This was Monday. She says, good night, guys. Literally, this is my daughter in the group chat. She says, good night, guys. That's my daughter at the top. She says, good night, guys. And then I say, I love you. And she said, I love y'all. Thanks for everything. This is just a random text at night. She just up at night at 11 on a Monday at 11:27 on a school night. And then I send her back a text message and I said, you so sweet, baby, because I was down here, right? And so I'm taking care of business down here. And then Rita texts her right after that and says, good night, family. Love you. I love y'all. You're welcome, Leslie. You're such a great kid. This is the stuff that my daughter experienced on a regular basis. She don't know this shit. She don't have the same experiences as a lot of these other kids, man. And I refuse under any circumstance. Thank God I've never been in a situation where I had to stay down for my family, because that just wasn't a thing. Like, the family has always been a family and we always been in a great space. And so I've never had that issue. But honestly, my daughter has never experienced the type of stuff that y'all are putting y'all children through. You're literally putting your children in a situation where even when it came to getting a place down here, I mean, everything just kind of worked out the way that it worked out as far as having a space that's closer to my office. So it makes it less taxing on my body for me to be able to get to and from where I need to be. I literally waited until my daughter was able to drive full time. And then, I got her truck. Her truck cost me $100,000 or whatever for her birthday. I waited until my daughter could drive full time before I actually, got a space to where it made it easier for me to be able to transition back and forth and sleep at night. And I split my time half and half. And then I have them down here, like my daughter and stuff. She was just down here the other day before I took her and Rita to the airport in order for them to be able to go and do what they do. But I'm telling you, man, it's a huge difference between a daughter and a son that is raised in a household. That's why I'm so hard on y'all. You'll be like, yo, my father was in my house, but he didn't do anything for me. What you mean? Nigga, what you want him to do? Go outside and play catch with you? Man, if you don't show some appreciation to your father, you have no clue of what it's like and what you're dealing with, bro. You have no clue. So, man, protect your kids, man. Protect your kids.
And like it allowed me to stop prostituting because like obviously I was like a prostitute. So
I'm really grateful that you shared that. I think it takes a lot to talk about that. Like,
no, for sure.
Like
This is why I like to come on like shows and stuff to spread like what I've been through.
I also want to be clear that Kayla shared that she had been sober from drinking and abusing any drugs for 3 years, which
Golden Pisces said, you got married at 22 and stayed married. Most black men would never get married, especially at that age. I don't mind if you don't get married or if you do get married. One thing I do stand on, though, is if you decide to have children, don't have children out of wedlock. That is a commitment. You got to commit to that. You are in a situation to where you got to be dedicated to your family and your kids. And so if you're going to have children, then I think that you should get married. If you are going to have children, I believe that you should marry before you carry. And then you gotta dedicate. And so that's why it's such a big deal. People be just having children like, oh no, I just want to be happy. I'm just gonna leave. Man, what the fuck you talking about? Listen, if you're gonna do what you're gonna do, then slide. But go home. Go home. Yo, like your kids need you. I understand. Listen, you might have slid out, you did your thing, whatever. Everybody had their moments, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you got to go home. Your kids need you. I can't save your kids. I can't save your children. You know what I'm saying? So once I decided that I was going to have a kid, I was never going to not have a kid. I was never going to not have a kid out of wedlock.
which I thought was amazing. And I really encouraged her in that direction because she needs to hear that she's doing well. She is doing well. She's taking steps to make her life better, at least. And she very much understands that she is leaning on OnlyFans, not because she thinks it's the right decision. It's not the right decision. Of course, it's not a good decision to sell your body, but because she has no other economic means. And this is why I really enjoyed these women, as opposed to the women that I sat down with on the Whatever podcast, who were approaching the topic as if it was a no-brainer, that it was all about money. They're making tons of money. These guys are idiots. And they didn't understand that while I very much completely know what it must feel like to be broke all the time, especially in today's economy, it sucked when I was broke growing up, that they're in the fast lane, but the fast lane ends very quickly.
Facts.
Which is to say that everything seems amazing and fast and like so much money when you're young. Then what happens, of course, is they're going to get older, and then what you're going to have is younger OnlyFans model that are making more money. And of course, men are not going to want to date women that have that sort of a resume, which is the
Facts.
point that Fresh and Fit make to these young ladies. Like, why would any guy want to date you? They're very harsh in the way that they say that, but it's something that I think that the young women don't think about when they're trying to emulate and be someone like a Kim Kardashian or a Kylie Jenner, is they think that they can just stop that sort of a career path whenever they want, and every other man is going to be available to them, where that's just not true. Of course, that simply isn't true. One thing that I was able to share with them And this particular clip went viral. And so I want to share it again so that everyone can hear it in case they don't watch the Fresh and Fit podcast. Was just a story from my childhood because I very much identify with young women, how easy it can seem when you're presented with the option of fast money and you have your youth and you have your beauty. So why not? This is a 100% true story. Me and a person who was my best friend, one of my best friends in high school, were back from college. I think it was just the first semester. We decided to go out in New York City, and we landed at a bar, and it was just a total chance thing. But an artist named Wyclef Jean was performing. You might be familiar with him. And it's really interesting because she was a very innocent girl, very sweet. He offered us an opportunity to go on a couple of tour stops with him, and we went. And she changed. She changed instantly on this tour stops. It was very obvious that she was suggesting to him that he could sleep with her, despite the fact, and I will stand by this, that he did not put any pressure on either of us to do that whatsoever. And it changed her life. That moment changed her life. She ended up dropping out of the school that she was in and sort of pursuing
Got caught up in the life.
if you want to call it limelight, this sort of quick money. The following year I visited her, she had moved to Miami. She was living in a massive apartment. It was 2-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. I mean, what were we, 20 years old? And I was so broke. I remember visiting her on that spring break. I was so broke.
They was in, hey, that's Wyclef showed up at the bar. Next thing you know, they on tour together. And the chick moved to Miami, and she living in a huge apartment. I'm telling you, the lifestyle could be alluring for a lot of people, but be careful.
Now she's not in school. She's got every rapper that is texting her. She's hanging out with them. She's dating some of them. She's sleeping with tons of them. And I just remember leaving her in Miami, didn't recognize who my friend was, and calling another friend of mine named Devin. And I remember crying because I could not even afford to put gas in my car. Like, I was just,
make candy
I remember
for the
saying to him, Devin,
streets.
this is so unfair. It's so unfair. If I just did what she did, I could have so much. She lived.
They tried to make my girl candy for the streets. No, stay focused, Candy.
Lives in a huge place. You know, people are taking care of her bills. She doesn't even work. You know, she says she's modeling. It's just so unfair. She's in doing music videos, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll never forget what Devin said to me. He said, Candace, if you think in 10 years your life is going.
Thank you, Miss Lolita Gore. What up to Freezy? What up to Mika? What up to your car? What up to everybody that's holding me down? I appreciate y'all for tapping in.
To be worse than hers, you are out of your mind. You're out of your mind. If you think 10 years down the line, the decisions that she is making is going to lead to a healthy and a good life, you are out of your mind.
Freezy, you think they going, bro? You think they going, Freezy? Man, I wish I could talk to my dog Freezy right now. Freezy said they going.
Years later, I must have been 25 years old. I was working in private equity, and no joke, the person that ran the firm had a massive wedding, and he invited Wyclef Jean to perform. And I hadn't seen him since I was 19, 20 years old, chose a different life for myself, and here I was working on this massive wedding. I'll never forget, after he came and took the meeting with the execs, he and I took an elevator downstairs together, and he looked at me and he said, you know, I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you and what you did in your life. And I knew what he meant. I knew that he meant that he was proud of me because I didn't sell myself to artists, even when I had the opportunity to. And then beyond that, fast forward to, I don't know, was I about 30 years old? It was a couple of years after that. I can't remember the timeline, but I was working with Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA. And I am not kidding. This is a true story. You can ask Charlie Kirk. We walked into the Four Seasons in Los Angeles, and working at the front desk was my former friend who had all of the money in the world in Miami when she was 20 or 21. And suddenly, you know, here she was as a hostess at the Four Seasons. Not where she began, not the life that she was living. And, you know, I wish her all the love in the world and all the luck in the world, but I know that eventually what Devin had said was going to happen is indeed what happened. She got older, not as interesting to those rappers. She chose the fast life, but it didn't get her anywhere in the long run. You know, it was fast, quick, and then it was over. And so I shared that story with them, and you could really see how much it was resonating with them and how much maybe they were thinking about changing their lives, because it's never too late to change their lives. And
Nope. 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 Candace, listen, God bless you, baby. How old is Candace Owens? Let me check this out. Candace. $34. Listen, Candace, you still a baby. You still a baby. God bless you. Here's the thing, baby girl. The reality is this. They not changing. They not changing. I know that you very, motivated and you want to change the world and all of this, but I'm just going to tell you, if you put your energy into that, you're going to be incredibly disappointed, baby. They're not changing.
And in the end, that was the advice that I left them with when they were able to write in questions to me. So it works like this. They write their questions on a paper and they sort of pull them out of a hat. So I don't know who is asking the question, but I can answer it. And I will let you guys watch that moment here.
Do you believe someone can truly change once they find God or religion, even if they have a promiscuous past? Alexis?
Yes, I actually was thinking about that. Can you remind me of your name?
Enola Blaze.
Nola?
Enola Blaze. My real name's Kayla.
Kayla.
Yes.
So I was thinking about that with Kayla because I had a former porn star on my show, and you should definitely watch that episode. And she transformed her life. She has kids. She's married, and she just came to her faith. And it was a really interesting conversation to talk about, the industry, same thing, drug addiction, everything. And then she just gave up her life to God and, met somebody at church who just wanted to know more about her. She was very open about, her life and where she came from. And now she has like 3 kids,
Damn.
She's been married to him for years. And what brought them together was faith. And I think that it is such a strong tenet and people turn away from it so much. But what God can do in your life when you give up your life to God, I've seen it happen. If you want to see a miracle, turn to faith.
Wow.
And I want that for you, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to pray for you, Kayla.
Thank you.
She was so happy. The girls were so happy. Ended on such a wonderful, beautiful note. And I really do want to encourage people to watch that episode. I want young women especially to watch that episode and to know that just because you're going through a period of grief, which we all go through, and just because you're frustrated maybe by your finances and, of course, the glamour and the gloss of social media letting you know all the times that it could be so much easier, even if you sold your soul to the devil, you don't have to do that. You really do not have to do that. There is another option, and that option is hard work. And by the way, if you already are selling yourself, at any moment you can stop and you could turn to something else, something that is much more fulfilling. So I appreciate being able to sit down with these young ladies. They learned from me, but I want to say also, I very much learned from them. And that's
Listen, I think that was a good move for her, and the way that she continues to go on the Joe Buttons and Fresh and Fits, and I'm not sure what other platforms that she's been a part of. I think that it's a good move for her. I think it's a good pivot. I think she continues to expand her audience and be great. And I think that she'll do well. Candace Owens is only 34 years old. She got so much runway ahead of her, and she's a woman, and she's conservative. So I think that she's going to do well and she's going to be successful.